Yo. So Marvel Rivals has been popping off for the last few weeks. Weeks? Months? Man, 2 months since the game came out, man. Time flies. It's a good thing, though. I'm having a ton of fun with it. I love playing with my friends. I love squadding up. And the online consensus generally seems to be, yeah, it's taken off and it's here to stay, which I'm super happy about. I love DC. I love Marvel. I'm a huge nerd. I love these kinds of things. And I'm happy that there's a game that I can finally sink my teeth into that has this, big replayability, especially in the hero shooter genre, because I'm a big fan. So again, everything's great from the balancing to the gameplay to the designs. One of the things I love about it most, though, is that it has brought these less appreciated characters to the more mainstream forefront. Fantastic Four, for example, one of Marvel's biggest families. They unfortunately just haven't really had a lot of success in the mainstream media. Their movies, as great as they are, as good as we can look back on them with rose-tinted lenses, again, naturally, the universe just kind of moved on. Same thing with Cloak and Dagger. Really good characters. They've been around a long time. Since the 80s, I think. I don't exactly recall. But again, they've been around for a long time, haven't really been appreciated, have had some minor appearances. They had a show for a while, but again, Marvel Rivals bringing them back has kind of reintroduced them to the mainstream audience that I feel like normally would gravitate towards these MCU characters. And again, the game has all those MCU characters. It does need to keep the synergy, of course. But I do love that, again, it's even introducing these newer characters that I wasn't familiar with before the game came out. Luna Snow, Jeff, and it's great. I'm looking into the newer comics, and it's great to see these guys running around. And this is due in no small part to the Rivals team's commitment to the characterization and the history, first and foremost, of these characters, including their newer stories, including their newer appearances, things they've been up to recently. It really helps things kind of feel like a connected universe, which, again, the MCU did do a pretty good job of getting that started, but again, with rights and everything, again, the way it did kick off, there wasn't a lot of time to really expand on these bigger relationships with more of these smaller heroes that, again, maybe they didn't have the rights to, or maybe they were in the middle of something else and they just didn't want to put them in the movies for whatever reason. So what's the point of all this Marvel Rivals glazing? I actually saw a video recently by a YouTuber. His name was Nightwing Stan. I don't know why I said it like that, Nightwing Stan. He's got some pretty good videos. I really like the points he made in this one. This one is called How Marvel Rivals Solve the Punisher Problem. And again, he brings up some great points. I'm not going to recap everything for you. I think you should go check the video out if you do have any interest in Marvel Rivals, nerdy stuff, DC. I see he's got some pretty cool videos on that end. But the main thing that I wanted to touch on is he brings up the point that Marvel and Disney have seemingly kind of struggled with what to do with this character without benching or butchering him, and how to kind of integrate him into that bigger universe, the bigger Marvel universe, ever since that whole thing did kick off with the whole logo. He brought up a good point, as he noticed even in the Daredevil Born Again trailer, it looks like they're hesitant to show him in the suit. And I feel like the logo is kind of the one of their big hang-ups on that one, and censorship might be one of the issues, if I'm not mistaken, one of the bigger issues anyway. And he even carries that new logo into Marvel Rivals. Has the little devil horns, I think, and I don't think it's terrible. The horns aren't as pronounced as the one in the comic run, so it's closer to the original skull, but again, not quite there. But there undeniably was a period where Marvel kind of hesitated with including him in a ton of stuff, trying to change aspects of him and kind of not wanting to touch him with a 10-foot pole. And Rivals has kind of shown a light on what I feel might be the best and healthiest dynamic for the Punisher they've been looking for. Again, he's not a bad character at the end of it. There's a reason he stuck around this long, and he was so popular in the 90s. He's got some good stories. He's got some great emotional beats, a compelling backstory. He is a force for good at the end of the day, but he's more about punishment than justice, as the people he encounters are usually more on the morally bankrupt side, and that can cloud his judgment more often than not when he does have these interactions with people who try to rehabilitate rather than punish, like most superheroes do. And that does lead to conflicts with him and other heroes. And that's fun to explore. A hyper-violent character whose moral compass is dialed up to 11 and isn't exactly in line with all the other heroes that operate in the world with him, that's fun. I'm not going to pretend it's not. And it leads to interesting discussions and storylines, just like we saw in Daredevil. So the question is, if you're really trying to get people to see Punisher in not that negative light, but more of a black and white extremist kind of light, how do you do that without butchering the character, without retconning a bunch of stuff? How do you get people to see him as a loose cannon whose methods are extreme and more often than not lead to that cycle of conflict that he tries to end? Again, retconning stuff isn't the answer here. Rivals knocks it out of the park with a pretty simple answer, and one comics have kind of supported for a while now. All the heroes we love seeing, that people idolize and look to, they keep Punisher at arm's length. They kind of ostracize him, and the general universe at large does. The game hammers on that perfectly in their interactions. In every voice line Frank has, he is antagonizing somebody or he is being antagonized, with the exception of like 2 or 3 characters. I think Luna Snow is one of them, and then Rocket is the other. And this isn't limited to just heroes and villains, he's just starting crap with everybody. Even with the few characters he initially starts off friendly with or shows admiration for, he isn't welcome. Captain America, Bucky, and Spidey, just to name 3. He compliments them at first, but they clearly reject his admiration or don't reciprocate at all, seeing him as what he is, a blunt, dangerous instrument of punishment who sees you as an ally or a target. No in between. He's kind of an a-hole, and nobody wants to be around him. Except Rocket, but he's also kind of an a-hole usually anyway. And I feel like that's really one of the best things you can do with a character like that if you're kind of worried about backpedaling him or dialing down certain aspects to not send the wrong message. That's never going to work though. 1, because people will take whatever they want from your art. You can't control that. Nobody can control that. And 2, because that's just not the character of the Punisher. He's very black and white. He doesn't hesitate. He doesn't second guess. He's good at what he does. And reducing aspects of his character just dilutes the sane fan base that he has left. And again, retconning aspects and things that were established before to make him a worse character, to make him morally, worse than he is, like put him in compromising positions. That's not the answer either, because again, he can't have this black and white version of justice if he is kind of boxed into that moral question there. Now again, characters have already been treating Frank like this for a long time in the main continuity, but again, Rivals is doing a great job bringing these characters and their dynamics to the forefront of the universe, and again, to the mainstream audience. And I think I wouldn't be super mad at this being the status quo moving forward. Again, not a super, what's the phrase I'm looking for here? A caricature of like these characters, like they're kind of presented as sometimes in these interactions. But again, if this is the status quo, I wouldn't be mad at it. Anytime Frank shows up and reluctantly has to team up with someone, it should be a bit of a burden for him to have to collaborate with anybody, mentally at least. He's got plenty of mental stuff to figure out. He doesn't play well with others and doesn't want to. And it could be a visible burden for whatever hero he's with too. They're uneasy around him, constantly being antagonized, and even if he has no intentions of harming them, they know it could change at the drop of a hair, and he wouldn't hesitate. And again, that's not exactly fostering of a healthy relationship, but that's not what Frank's looking for. Frank is a machine who's on a warpath constantly. He's not looking to make buddy with everybody. Either way, though, I feel like Rivals did justice to one of the more difficult to work with characters as of late, and kind of gave Marvel the answer they're looking for in the process. Nightwing Stands made a great point that I'll end this video on. Put the character in something good that people want to engage with, and audiences and others will gravitate towards it. Let the posers or the people who take the wrong message take it and refute them, but let the people who find entertainment or solace in these stories keep it, and keep the character it came with. The Punisher has overall been a force for good more often than not, and he can continue to be. We still got the Joker, we could still keep the Punisher, in my opinion. I want to try to do more of these off-the-cuff videos, and Rivals is just one of my interests. Leave a like, comment, or subscribe on whatever platform this ends up on if you do want to see more, or if you think I'm totally wrong. Peace.